Good day from the International Space Station Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, where at this hour the Orbit 1 team of flight controllers is on duty, watching over their respective consoles' data as they prepare for the arrival of an unpiloted Russian Progress resupply craft delivering 3 tons of cargo to the Expedition 52 crew on board the International Space Station. At this hour, on console in the dark jacket in the center of this row of gentlemen is the lead flight director for the Progress activities this morning, Jeff Radigan. At the bottom of your screen to his left is Flight Director Anthony Vareja, and at the top of your screen, veteran astronaut Steve Bowen, who is communicating with the 3 crew members on board the space station when required throughout the course of this morning's activities. Across the ocean at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov on the outskirts of Moscow, this view of the Russian Flight Control Room, the Russian flight controllers in charge of this morning's activities as the Progress 67 cargo craft is now just about 6 kilometers away from its destination and an automated docking at the aft port of the Zvezda service module on the Russian segment of the orbital outpost. Everything has gone perfectly with all of the engine firings and the adjustment burns to pinpoint the path of the Progress resupply ship to the International Space Station. Docking is scheduled just about 40 minutes from now at 6:42 a.m. Central Time, 7:42 a.m. Eastern Time. The Progress is carrying 3 tons of cargo for the crew members on board the station. The breakdown includes 1,940 pounds of propellant, 51 pounds of oxygen, 53 pounds of air, 926 pounds of water, and 3,069 pounds of dry cargo in the form of spare parts and other supplies for the crew members on board the station, a total of 6,039 pounds of cargo being delivered to the International Space Station. Later today, several hours after docking, after leak checks are conducted at the docking interface between the Progress and the Zvezda service module, the Expedition 52 commander Fyodor Yurchikhin will open the hatch to both the Zvezda service module interface and the Progress itself and begin to unload its cargo. And yet another delivery supply run will have been completed between the fleet of ships that resupply the International Space Station and the crew members on board the complex. The Progress's docking this morning will culminate a 2-day journey that began with its launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan back on Wednesday at 4:20 a.m. Central Time, 3:20 p.m. In Baikonur as the Soyuz booster its engines ignited and it lifted off from Site 31 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome, arced out over the northeast onto an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. 8 minutes and 45 seconds after launch, the Progress resupply craft separated from the 3rd stage of that Soyuz booster, deployed its solar arrays and its navigational antennas, and so far has been on a flawless course for an automated docking to the station, again about 38.5 minutes from now. Awaiting the arrival of the Progress on board the International Space Station, the Expedition 52 crew, as mentioned a moment ago, led by the station commander Fyodor Yurchikhin, joined by NASA flight engineers Peggy Whitson and Jack Fisher. Yurchikhin and Fisher are inside the service module itself at a control panel at the ready in the unlikely event that the Progress's core's automated rendezvous system should experience a problem. They could take over manual control of the flying of the Progress for the final phase of the rendezvous that would lead to docking on a system known as the Toru system, or the telerobotically operated system that would enable them to use a joystick in the service module to guide the Progress in the highly unlikely event that there would be a problem with the cores. However, everything has been rock solid so far with all of the Progress systems as we await the arrival of the Progress in the neighborhood of the International Space Station and the beginning of what is called a fly-around that will enable the Progress to precisely align itself and its forward docking probe to the aft port of the Zvezda service module. That will come just a few minutes before docking at a range of about 1,300 feet between the Progress and the service module. There will be a brief period of station keeping to allow Russian flight controllers to assess the Progress systems and the alignment of that docking probe to the docking port itself before the command is issued for the final approach and docking. At the time of contact and capture, the Progress will be traveling at a glacial 1/10 of a meter per second as it gently nestles in to the aft docking port of the service module. There will be a period of relative motion that will be allowed to dampen out between the two vehicles that are both traveling at 5 miles per second against one another. And once that motion has settled down, the docking probe will begin to retract, and the docking surfaces will be flush against one another for a hard mate when hooks are closed between the Progress and the docking port on the service module itself. So we'll stand by and bring you all of that activity as it unfolds over the course of the next 36 minutes or so. At the moment, the International Space Station is flying 258 statute miles above the Earth, flying over Mauritania on the west coast of Africa, moving from southwest to northeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. All of the station systems are in excellent shape. The Progress is now just 3 kilometers away from arriving in the neighborhood of the International Space Station. About 40 minutes ago, Yurchikhin told Russian flight controllers that he could see the Progress as a small dot in the distance. The Progress growing ever larger in the field of view for the crew. We're expecting to get views of the Progress soon from truss cameras on the International Space Station. We also should be getting a view from the engineering cross-haired camera, the external television camera on the Progress itself of the International Space Station as it begins its final approach. And there it is. There's the view from that external engineering camera as the Progress makes its way slowly but surely on its automated course system, locking on to a comparable system on the service module of the International Space Station for navigational updates.
We show all nominal system operations. We're not getting video yet at MCC Moscow. We are getting the video image from the Progress camera. So everything is in order here. Copy.
A good view from one of the external cameras on the International Space Station as it flies over the Sahara Desert of Algeria, about to cross the northern coast of Africa to fly over the Mediterranean on this pass of the Earth. And there's the view of the Progress vehicle as it continues to methodically make its path to the International Space Station.
Station Moscow, Space Ground 1. For Toro.
И слышу вас.
Go ahead.
Есть разрешение на включение Тора.
You're going to activate Toro. As soon as you are finished with activating Toro, please go ahead and proceed with the test right away. Copy. Right now, display 44 is on your screen, and we're ready to start MPEG-2 recording.
The Toru system, again, mentioned in that communication between the Russian flight controllers and Fyodor Yurchikhin, is the activation of the backup rendezvous system, the telerobotically operated system, that again would be used only if the Corps' automated rendezvous system experienced a problem. So far, the Corps system is rock solid, no problems with it, as the Progress hones in for the final minutes of its approach for docking to the aft port of the Zvezda service module. As mentioned earlier, there is a Stanley Cup-like treasure trove of supplies awaiting the unloading of the Progress by Yurchikhin for the Expedition 52 crew. This Progress also includes supplies for the next trio of crew members who will launch to the Baikonur Cosmodrome on July 28th, led by Soyuz Commander Sergei Rosansky, NASA astronaut Randy Bresnik, and Paolo Nespoli of the European Space Agency. They're scheduled to launch on July 28th, arrive at the station 6 hours later to bring the station back to its full complement of 6 crew members.
Power up. Complete. Transmitters are on. POBPS initial. Command is sent. All LEDs are on. All 4 of them. Starting with the rotational hand controller test. To the right. No issues. To the left to hard stop. No issues to report. All nominal. Up. Clockwise. Counterclockwise. Rotational hand controller.
To provide some situational awareness, again, from this engineering overlay on the cross-haired camera on the Progress, in the lower left-hand quadrant, you can see 1.04. That's the kilometers. That's the distance right now between the Progress and the International Space Station. The value that's underneath it, minus 3.47 meters per second. That's the rate of closure, the range rate, if you will, how quickly the Progress is closing in on the station. Once the fly-around is complete, the Progress will put the brakes on to basically null its approach to the International Space Station to 0 rate for that period of brief station keeping before the command is issued to begin its final approach for docking.
You are go to proceed with 4.3. BPS to initial. Operation. All 4 LEDs are lit. Sending command to activate AGC mode. Command has been sent, and we see AGC illuminated on the display. Looking for better image. Copy. We're getting video, and we see you working through different AGC modes. We're going to select this one for now, because that's the best image that we could find. Can I disable operation mode? Your go for that. Operation mode disabled. Copy.
And as the International Space Station flies over southern Europe, a good view of the complex. Its 3 crew members on board, Yurchikhin, Whitson, and Fisher.
And you can proceed with page 22.
They will return home as a 3-person crew on their Soyuz vehicle on September 3rd for a parachute-assisted landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan. For Peggy Whitson, that will wrap up a 10-month mission on board the International Space Station, a 4.5-month mission for Yurchikhin and Fisher.
Range is 700 meters. Range rate is 2.33 meters per second. We copy. We're getting a crisp image of the station. Copy that. That's very good. If we need to, and you don't mind, we're going to work with AGC modes and try to select the best image. You are go for that anytime, Fyodor.
600 meters now separating the Progress with the International Space Station. We're expecting the Progress to begin its automated fly-around of the complex about 2.5 minutes from now.
Address C is 0. Copy. And we're watching.
All of the rendezvous burns for the Progress, pre-programmed, have gone as advertised. No issues with the Progress vehicle at this point. We're about 25.5 minutes away from its automated docking to the aft port of the Zvezda service module, where it will reside until about the mid-December timeframe.
Per second. Copy. If you're getting the image, then maybe I'll provide commentary upon your request. Yeah, we're waiting for the fly-around range. All right, so Andrei, just let me know when you need me to make my calls. We'll let you know, Fyodor, if we have a bad image. Then we'll ask for your comments. Okay.
This is Mission Control Houston, 400 meters separating the Progress and the International Space Station. As we stand by for the start of the fly-around, this will be about a 110-degree fly-around of the station to precisely align the Progress and its forward docking probe with the aft end of the Zvezda service module. And the fly-around now has been initiated. As you can see from this view from the Progress's camera, in this view from the Progress's camera, just about right at the crosshairs, is the Zvezda service module that was launched 17 years ago in July of 2000 as the initial command and control component for the International Space Station. We're now just about 22.5 minutes away from docking. The Progress will complete its fly-around shortly and position itself directly behind the aft port of the Zvezda service module, where it will dock. At the bottom of your screen, you can make out the black and white image. That is the Progress 66 cargo craft that arrived at the station several months ago, and which will undock on July 20th to be deorbited and burn up in the Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean. And there's a view of the Progress resupply vehicle as it continues its fly around of the International Space Station to position itself directly behind the Zvezda service module. We're about 9.5 minutes away from the point of the initiation of final approach, coming up on the 19-minute mark until docking. As the International Space Station flies directly over the capital of Kazakhstan, Astana, about to begin a northwest to southeasterly track that will carry it across northern China, southern Mongolia, and out over the Pacific Ocean a short time from now. Everything continuing to go smoothly with the arrival of the Progress at the International Space Station. All of its pre-programmed maneuvers have been executed in textbook fashion. No issues reported so far. The Progress visible against the limb of the Earth. And in this view from the high-definition external viewer camera, or HDEV, on the International Space Station, an outstanding view of the Progress as it continues its inexorable approach for an automated docking to the aft port of the Zvezda service module. This view showing the periodic thruster firings on the Progress as it positions itself directly behind the Zvezda service module. The fly around is continuing.
First bit 0, second bit 1. Still showing lock on.
Есть. Принято, контролируем. Идет разворот по крену.
We're in a roll maneuver.
As it arrives almost directly behind the service module, you see the docking port of the Zvezda service module just about in the upper right-hand quadrant of this engineering view. The Soyuz is doing a roll maneuver to properly position its solar arrays for final approach and docking.
5964 for initiating final approach.
Да, принято, потому что причал на МКС у нас есть.
Copy. We are set on the station side. Final approach mode has been enabled on the station. Copy. Further standby for our go.
Начинать работать.
Soyuz, the Progress vehicle completing its roll maneuver. A good view right at the crosshairs of the docking port at the aft end of the Zvezda service module. The vehicle in the top right-hand quadrant, that is the Soyuz MS-04 vehicle that will be the ride home for Peggy Whitson, Jack Fisher, and Fyodor Yurchikhin on September 3rd. In the lower left-hand quadrant is the Progress 66 vehicle that is currently docked to the Piers docking compartment.
BPS initial command has been fired. We have operation enabled. Display 44. And selecting display 44, and we have both station and Progress.
And with everything in order and the alignment of the forward docking probe perfectly set to the aft port of the service module, the final approach has now been initiated. The Progress 169 meters away from its final destination.
Yes, I did. 0.5. We have 1 and 7 in the seaward line. Copy. We're up to 0.81 for closing rate. Right now we're at 150 meters based on the Ranger. So further, we still have about 10 minutes left until contact, so we'll probably be in installation by then.
Again, as you can see in the lower left-hand corner, 135, 134 meters separating. That's the range between the Progress and the International Space Station, currently closing at a rate of about 0.6 of a meter per second. And as indicated earlier, at the time of docking, the Progress will be closing at a rate of just 1/10 of a meter per second. The station will be placed in what is known as free drift. All of its thrusters will be disabled to prevent any inadvertent thruster firings that would perturbate the contact and capture of the Progress against the docking port of the service module, permitting the retraction of the Progress's docking probe and the initiation of the closing of the hooks that will form a hard mate between the Progress and the International Space Station.
From the center by about 1 degree. Copy all. Continue to use range ruler to compare data you're receiving from cores to what you're seeing on the overlay. Copy. We're getting to 3 squares within the large diameter of the service module. Copy. And we have 3 squares. Copy.
Flight controllers at the Russian Mission Control Center continue to watch over their consoles and all the data that they're receiving from the Progress vehicle. The International Space Station and the Progress flying over northeastern China, moving from northwest to southeast.
Closing in at 0.32. Copy. Have a good visual on the target. The crosshairs are aligned. The target is almost perfectly at the center of the electronic crosshairs. Copy.
We're currently handing over between satellites on the tracking and data relay satellite system. We'll reacquire our downlink TV signal from the Progress and the station, and there it is. Just a momentary loss of signal. A good view of the aft port of the Zvezda service module. At the bottom of the circular docking port is that crosshair docking target that the Progress's Core's automated rendezvous system will hone in on to match the overlay against that docking target and the precise alignment for contact and capture. Docking is scheduled about 10.5 minutes from now.
Расстояние 48 метров.
48 meters.
Движение 0,2.
Closing in at 0.2. Copy.
Наблюдаю кресты четко. Кресты собраны.
I clearly see the crosshairs and the docking mechanism readiness is confirmed. Copy, and we're watching that as well.
Looking right down the barrel of the aft port of the Zvezda service module. This component again launched in July of 2000 as the initial command and control component for the International Space Station. Good view of the docking target at the very bottom of the circular docking port. 40 meters now separating the Progress from the station, closing at a rate of about 1.5 meters per second.
По-прежнему четко наблюдаем мишень. Полградуса вверх.
The image is still clear.
Приведение мишени.
Target is clearly visible.
Скорость сближения.
Target is moving to the center of the electronic crosshairs.
You can see that the Corps' automated rendezvous system has done its compensation, and we have almost a perfect alignment now as the Progress closes the final few meters for its automated docking. Just 25 meters now separating the Progress and the International Space Station.
All commands have been sent and executed. Copy.
Мишень точно практически по центру кресты.
The target is almost smack in the middle of the electronic crosshairs. Copy.
Условие S, первый заряд 0, второй единичка.
Принято.
Восстановилась. Антенна АО отведена.
Antenna has been retracted. 1 and 7 in the C line. Copy.
Придаем информацию.
And we're watching format 44 with you as well.
Мишень справа, одна клетка.
The target is 1 square offset to the right and half a square upward of the center of the electronic crosshairs. Copy.
База R.
Buzzer air flag confirmed. And we concur.
Кресты собраны.
The crosshairs are aligned. The target is almost smack in the middle of the electronic crosshairs.
Fyodor Yurchikhin confirming what you're looking at from the Progress external camera. 17 meters now separating the Progress and the station, closing at a rate of 1/10 of a meter per second.
Ширина мишени 1,5 клетки.
The width of the target is about 1.5 squares for the overlay and the range ruler, and we are at 14 meters, closing in at 0.11 meters per second. Copy.
Формат. Пропало телевидение.
I just lost the video image,
Управление формата.
and we've just recovered image. We copy and concur. So
Время идет на формате.
the time is incrementing on the display.
Видите репортаж, вы нас тоже пошли время.
Oh yeah, we recovered video as well.
Мишень практически.
11 meters. The target is almost in the middle of the
Кресты собраны. Условие S, первый заряд.
electronic crosshairs. The first bit is 1.
Yurchikhin providing a running commentary to the Russian flight control team. They're seeing the same data he is inside the Zvezda service module.
Standing by for contact.
Just 8 meters separating the Progress and the International Space Station as we stand by for contact and capture.
Smack in the middle of the electronic crosshairs, 0.12 meters per second range rate. Getting closer to 4 squares for the overlay. Standing by for contact at 0.13 meter per second range rate. Crosshairs are completely aligned.
Есть касание, есть.
Contact confirmed.
Contact confirmed. Capture confirmed. Docking has been confirmed at 6:37 a.m. Central Time.
Thank you very much for reliable vehicle.
Again, docking confirmed at 6:37 a.m. Central Time, 7:37 a.m. Eastern Time, as the International Space Station flew 258 miles over the Philippine Sea, north of the Philippine Islands. The Progress completes as smooth a journey as you can imagine from the launch pad at Baikonur. 2 days to arrive at the International Space Station with 3 tons of supplies for the Expedition 52 crew.
Moscow МКС, МСГ-1.
Moscow Station, Space to Ground 1. Go ahead.
Отключение режима ТОРу по вашему указанию.
We are standing by to deactivate our mode on your go.
После завершения процесса втягивания штанги.
Once the probe retraction is complete, you'll be go to deactivate our mode. Yep. We're ready and we're standing by.
Next up will be the start of the retraction of the docking probe on the Progress that will basically pull the Progress and the docking surface of the Zvezda service module tight against one another as the initiation of the closure of the hooks then begin. That will form a hard mate, to be followed by several hours of leak checks at the docking interface between the Progress and the Zvezda service module, leading to the opening of the Progress hatch by Fyodor Yurchikhin later today.
Yeah, of course. Well, I wouldn't call it impact. It was really soft. I would say it was a gentle touch rather than anything else. Well, you've had SMF dockings before, so you have something to compare it back to. That's why we asked. Crosshairs are aligned. And the cargo vehicle is now in a gentle but very firm embrace, thanks to the station now.
Андрей, и формат, наверное, наблюдаете, да? То, что у нас индикаторный режим.
And you are seeing display, right? You may not be getting any video from the cameras because we're in eclipse now, but you should be getting the data display.
Again, we're standing by for the retraction of the forward docking probe and the initiation of the closing of the hooks by the Progress at the docking interface with the Zvezda service module, following a perfect approach and link-up, docking occurring at 6:37 a.m. Central Time, 7:37 a.m. Eastern Time, as the Progress and the International Space Station flew 258 miles over the Philippine Sea north of the Philippine Islands. The docking probe now has retracted, and the Progress's hooks are driving now into the closed position to form a hard mate between the two vehicles. And here in Mission Control, the visiting vehicle officer has confirmed that the hooks are now closed. The Progress and the International Space Station are hard-mated. This will set the stage for leak checks over the course of the next few hours to ensure that we have a tight seal between the Progress and the International Space Station. But everything that has gone by the book continues to do so, as the Progress completed a textbook journey of 2 days from the launch pad of the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan for its automated docking at 6:37 a.m. Central Time over the Philippine Sea north of the Philippines. So yet another resupply vehicle has joined the fleet at the International Space Station, this time to deliver 3 tons of supplies for the Expedition 52 crew. With that, we'll wrap up our coverage for today. A perfect journey by the Progress resupply vehicle, its automated docking, flawless. With that, we'll wrap up our coverage. We wish you a good day and a good weekend. This is Mission Control Houston.